Welcome back to Bold of You to Say. We're back with another episode. We bring the heat.
We bring the heat!
You know how it is. Welcome back. This week we talked about The Incredible Hulk, starring Edward Norton as Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, and he's smashed. If I'm being honest, Hulk smash.
And he almost came close to smashing too.
Yeah, but he couldn't get too excited.
But he couldn't do it.
He just couldn't do it.
Oh man.
Anyway, we talked about that. We talked about some good news with the economy. Apparently, people are more productive when they're not constantly exhausted. Who knew? More on that later.
Wow. Fascinating.
There are timestamps in the description, so you can skip around if you want to skip a certain part, or if you just can't wait to get to a certain part, it's all down below. Use it if you want.
Right there.
Yeah, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Turn on notifications. Turn on automatic downloads.
Turn it all on.
Follow me on social media, not Gavin. Don't follow Gavin anymore.
Don't follow me.
Don't do it. It's unwise.
Stop. Really?
Anyway, let's yeah.
So, do you want to argue about socialism again?
No, I kind of got that all out of my system last week, but I did want to clarify, like one point about it, which was I don't think I did it. No, I don't think I did it. I don't think I got
it out of my system.
I don't think I did a good enough job.
I have one more point to make.
No, it's not that I have one more point to make. I think I didn't do a good job explaining part of it. So, like, I don't think I did a good enough job explaining the difference between, like, just individually buying stock in your own company that you work at and, like, something like the program that we were talking about. So, basically, with the program that we were talking about, like, the ownership, like, the stake in the company is essentially, like, a benefit that you earn through your work.
So, like, a 401k, but for private... Oh, so it's like set up through the company that they give you.
Yeah, it's like
from your paycheck.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever even mentioned that it's like a program.
No, you didn't mention that bit. I thought you just meant like, okay, that's different. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not just like, hey, the people at the company were like, I think I'm gonna buy stocks. Like, it wasn't that. I don't.
Hey guys, we should all buy stocks.
I don't.
Stonks.
And I think this is why next time we talk about like an article. Like that, I think it's a good idea for us both to read it, because I don't think I did a good job explaining like the setup for it, like the context. So what that article was about was a specific program that was going on at like whatever companies were doing it. It's like a program that's set up between like management and the workers.
Alex, you know, you can just say I was right. It's fine.
I guess, I could also say the sky is green. You could just say
that you're trembling and crumbling under the tremendous logic of Gavin.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, so it wasn't just the employees were like, I think I'm going to buy these like stocks. It was like, it's a program set up between the current ownership and the workers. So it's like a willing agreement between the current like owner / board of directors, whatever it may be, and the workers of the company. So like gradually over time, the workers are like given like more and more ownership until eventually they just like it's just owned by the workers, kind of like a co-op.
Watch it go full circle, and then they're like, we need to expand, we need more workers, but we can't pay them enough. And it just like becomes like bad capitalism all over again.
I don't know.
I'm just making the funnies. That's just, I don't know.
But yeah, so the reason that I called it socialism is because of the part like the idea that it's like workers owning the company / like the means of production, if you will. But you were right that it is still like capitalism. It's still within the capitalist framework, but like I would describe it as the most socialist thing that you can do under capitalism.
Yeah, I like how this entire conversation has been like, I'm right and you're wrong, but we generally agree on the idea.
No, I think we were both right.
It's great.
We just were focused on different aspects of it. Like technically, like it's not inaccurate to call it like a socialist concept, to have
Yeah.
a company be owned by the workers, and that was the point that I was trying to make. But
Yeah.
it's also fair to say that there's still big air quotes, like doing capitalism, if you want to like simplify it to that degree. Like they're doing socialism, big air quotes, by having the company be owned by the workers, but they're also still doing capitalism by being a private entity in the free market, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, too, it still means that I was right, and you were wrong.
And I just wanted to say, you know, if you were scared last week because mom and dad were fighting, and you just wanted to show off your song that you wrote about an octopus, you know, you can play it now.
I like the fact that if a dude fucked an octopus, he could say, "I got that octopussy."
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
true.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I do have a couple of more articles, not so much doing like a deep dive into like a full economic concept, more just recent events that have happened. And you can tell with the show notes this week, I just kind of threw stuff at the wall, and I don't know what's going to stick and what isn't, but I do have like a couple of like more economic centered stories, and a couple of like, I don't want to say like fun news stories, but more like stuff that we can make fun of. But I do have a couple of more economic related stories that are both good news. They're both good news, so don't worry about like, oh shit, we're dying in a hellish...
Wait, did Biden actually say that?
What?
Did Biden actually say that?
Yeah, and we'll get to that if you want to. But so the first story that I wanted to mention was the national...
What the fuck?
Yeah, just compartmentalize that information. If you're wondering right now, listener, the thing that Gavin's referring to is a link to a tweet that I have in the show notes that says, Biden with his arms around Elton John. Quote, "It's all his fault we are spending $6 billion in taxpayer dollars on HIV and AIDS this month." That's what he's reacting to.
No, I want to, just for this moment, I want to inform you that I actually read it wrong.
Oh, what did you think it said?
I thought he said it's not his fault that we're spending $600 billion on AIDS and HIV research, as to imply and be like, oh, listen, it's not the gays' fault.
Yeah.
Right? But the way you put it is a lot worse and better at the same time.
Yeah.
It's, if I'm ever doing anything ever with Joe Biden, I need a shot of whiskey first.
Yeah, if I ever like have any form of interaction with Joe Biden, I want it to be pure, either like not recorded at all or purely scripted, if it's going to be recorded in any way. Just because I know he has lost all ability to actually like say what he means in a like inoffensive manner.
Well, that's the thing. He's like saying words in a way to convey meaning.
I'll give you that.
He's saying the words properly. Mm-hmm. It's just them all together. There's nothing wrong about each individual word. It's just all together in the context that he's saying them in. Yeah. Ugh.
No, like I get what he's getting at. Like, hey, you know, thanks to all of the work. If this is, you know, if you were to word it more eloquently, he'd be saying, thanks to all of the tireless effort that Elton John has put into advocating for victims of HIV and AIDS. Thanks to all of that advocacy, you know, we're putting in resources to help this vulnerable group with this deadly disease. And, you know, we've made a lot of progress, and a lot of it, you know, it's thanks to people like Elton John. But instead, Joe Biden ran it through his Joe Biden filter in his brain. And he said, it's all his fault. We are spending $6 billion in taxpayer dollars on HIV and AIDS this month.
You
know, since we're like pretty much just covering it already anyway, I was saying we're going to get to it, but we did get to it. So I'll just play it. Because there's a video attached.
I just want to like lay this out in plain language. This is in fact implying, if you look at it at a different,
he gave everyone AIDS
context. He's essentially incriminating Elton John with saying, you fucked a bunch of people with with an AIDS penis and gave them all AIDS, and now it's our problem.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna play the clip. Jamie, roll the tape.
$1 billion in tax. By the way, it's all his fault that we're spending $6 billion in taxpayer money this month.
And the look on his face.
HIV/AIDS.
The look on his face. It's like, did you mean to say it like that? Hold on, I'll hold my phone up to the webcam. This is going to be very janky.
Please,
but I'm going to hold it up to the webcam, and hopefully you can see Elton John's face.
What the?
Wait, hold on. Why is the sound up?
He's like kneading his hands. He's like, "Are you sure?" Like,
it's all his fault that we're
here we go.
By the way, it's all his fault that we're spending $6 billion in taxpayer money this month to help fight HIV/AIDS.
For a second, he's kind of like, what are you saying, Joe?
Hey, Joe, how you, buddy?
Careful, by the way, you're kind of grabbing it by the cord at the bottom.
I know, I was pushing it in.
I'm okay. I'm just like,
motherfucker.
Every time you do that, I'm terrified you're just gonna unplug it.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Yeah. So anyway, that's. Sorry about that, babe.
Oh man.
Accidentally switched it.
Oh, bro.
Yeah. So that's basically that story. That's what I wanted to cover with that.
You could have convinced me that was an Onion article.
Yeah.
Like, I want to make sure you know that.
You're right. Yeah.
You could have convinced me that was like, oh no, some comedy writer made that up.
No, really, that should have been an Onion article.
That really should have.
It felt like that was supposed to be an Onion article.
Oh, dude, poor kids are just as smart and bright as white kids.
Poor kids are. I gotta add that to my soundboard because we've mentioned it too many times to not have it at the push of the button. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
And now we're spending $600 billion this month on AIDS research thanks to Elton John.
No, it's all his fault. Not thanks to Elton John. It's his fault.
Oh,
blame this fucker.
It's his fault. Yeah.
By the way, that reminds me, I do have
awful.
a new sound drop. I don't know how often it will like come in handy, but I just could not pass up adding this to my soundboard. So this is
hit me.
This is a gaff
let's see what it is.
From Trump, actually. This is from a recent rally of his.
We have to keep our country gay.
We have to keep our country gay.
What was the full sentence?
He was like, we need to keep our country gay. I mean, great, you know, like that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. No, okay,
we have to keep our country gay.
Yeah.
We have to keep our country gay.
Yeah. I don't foresee any like context where that will come up. But
no.
I just wanted to have it.
By the way, you're out of focus right now.
I am?
You are.
How embarrassing. Let's see if I can trip the autofocus. Oh, I'm still out of focus. Hold on. That's a lot.
There you go. That's it.
Okay.
That's where the money is.
All right. So anyway, the first economic story that I thought would be a feel-good thing to cover is the National Labor Relations Board forced Starbucks to reinstate the quote-unquote Memphis 7, which were basically some employees that tried to unionize.
Which is a baseball team that helped the town.
It was a baseball team completely unrelated to Starbucks.
And they came to Starbucks after the game, and they made a little profit.
Yeah, and then Starbucks was like, get the fuck out of here, because you're not actually a baseball team. You're actually a group of employees that tried to unionize this location.
Yeah.
That's a direct quote from Starbucks. And then they said, hold on. Then they said,
up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
Actually, that fits better to say that the Memphis 7 said that, because they did see who will cancel who. So,
and instead of woke moralists, it's capitalists, I suppose.
Up yours, greedy capitalists. Up yours, union busting capitalists. We'll see who fires who for organizing.
Yes.
That's
yes.
That's all to say that some employees at the Memphis Starbucks location tried to unionize. Then it was like there was a lawsuit brought about, I believe, by the the
By the Memphis 7.
And I was gonna say, I believe that's
a dope name, by the way.
That is a pretty cool name.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It was, the lawsuit was filed, I was gonna say by the board, but it was decided by the board. But anyway, it was brought to a lawsuit. Starbucks tried to like appeal it, tried to be like, no, we fired them because they opened the store after hours and they did a bunch of other stuff that we don't punish other people for, other people who don't organize, but these people did try to organize and we fired them, but it's not because they were trying to organize.
You know that Spotify account we give everyone? They were sharing their Spotify account. Yeah. And we don't say you can't do that, but we don't like it.
Password sharing is tantamount to piracy, actually.
Yeah.
So they were like, no, I swear, like, we did not union bust. On God.
No cap. Like, honestly.
Yeah. And then they said,
I'm going to blow up the city.
then they blew up the city.
No. I do get severe diarrhea when I drink Starbucks. So, yeah, I do blow up the city.
And, some people have, cute names for their toilets. Some call them latrines or Johns or the loo. I call mine the city. And then I eat Taco Bell and I say this.
I'm going to blow up the city.
So anyway, yeah, the National Labor Relations Board was like, no, fuck you. You gotta rehire these people because you fired them illegally.
Yeah.
And that's good. That's
good.
That's just some good news.
Watch them go back and then they're going to be like, I didn't even like it here anyway. I quit.
Yeah. Like, honestly, like, good on them for getting rehired. But if it was me, like, I mean, I guess they do have an interest in staying there because they are still trying to start a union. But like, if it was me and I didn't have like a vested interest in staying to try to still organize, I would be like, no, like, I'm out. Like,
fuck this shit.
Like, imagine going back to work after all that.
Yeah. Imagine like doing something really good, but for a place that's really bad to work at.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's for your coworkers. So like, I understand wanting to stay and still keep the fight up.
Customers are like shit.
Yeah.
They're awful.
Yeah.
They're terrible.
Honestly, it should be a human rights violation to employ people at Starbucks.
Actually, in Article 3, Section 2 of the Geneva Convention, it says you can't work at Starbucks.
We need UBI, if for no other reason, just so no one has to work at Starbucks.
Listen, I'm going to get the UN Security or the U.S. Human Rights Council to
Someone needs to spread democracy here.
Yeah. Not the American way, though, the European way.
Yeah.
We need to colonize all Starbuckses.
Yeah. Slightly less militaristic and slightly more parental.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're weirdly paternal about their imperialism.
Like, imagine if you'd done something really awesome with your life, right? And then some other fucking old dude comes in and is like, you're my son now, and I'm taking credit for all the good things that you've done and saying that it's only because of me that you could do this.
Yeah, well, American imperialism is like, fuck you, you're my bitch, and I conquered you. European, like, English imperialism is like, you don't know what you're doing. Okay, I'm gonna step in. I'm gonna become your father, and you're grounded, frankly, mister.
Yeah, no, it's like when they went to the Americas and they're like, wow, they don't have any clothes. They must be really cold.
Yeah.
We should give them a lot of clothes because they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
We should give them SARS.
Yeah, man. We should give them SARS.
You know what this country needs? You know what sorry, not country, because we don't believe in any sovereignty other than our own. You know what this hunk of land really needs? Just a myriad of disease.
You know, they look really cold without their clothes. How about we give them fucking SARS and the
How about we kill them and enslave them?
Oh my god.
Anyway, I'm glad that the board sided with the workers. It sets a really good precedent.
Yeah.
Because it encourages other people to organize their workplaces. Now I'm hearing Home Depot workers are starting to start unions.
I like that, like, even adults are like, wait, this shit could be better?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Pause.
well, like, for years, people on the left have been like, no, things could be better here. Like, we could do things in a more equitable way. Like, maybe some people don't have to die in the streets.
Yeah.
And, like, the, like, Hillary Clintons of the world have been like, that's a pie in the sky hippie bullshit idea. And now, like, we're starting to see it, like, take effect in, like, a post Bernie Sanders world. Like, the stuff is becoming more normalized. And now we have, like, the National Labor Relations Board siding with unions in this modern era. And people are like, oh, unions are good. And, like, democracy.
Yeah.
Turns out democracy is good in the workplace.
Can I tell a fun story about
Yeah.
this? So, like, all these companies will say, like, we can't afford to do unions. We will lose too much money. And we can't pay them more. We'll lose too much money. By the way, these are like Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah.
Right? And so I used to work for one of those sorts of companies. And I worked there for like 2 years. And we were getting our yearly review, which is a time where your manager talks to you about how you're doing and possibly gives you a raise. So they're like, yeah, I tried to get you a raise, but all they could really give me is 36 cents.
There's no way that you only generated 36 cents per hour in more revenue for them.
Bro, people like, I still have it in my wallet. A lady fucking gave me once a fucking $10 Myers gift card because I was such a good, like,
They're
dude.
tipping pharmacy technicians now.
This is illegal, so don't do that.
Oh.
That didn't happen.
Yeah,
I think it's illegal.
allegedly in Minecraft this happened.
Like nothing illegal happened. It was like a transaction, but she was like, "Here, you can have this," and I was like, "Aw,
oh, okay.
thanks." Yeah. So here's what I did, which is kind of fucked up that I had to do this, but this is what I did. I was like, a couple days later, I was like, "Hey, so I need a raise because I'm looking for different jobs that will pay me more because I'm worth more than an extra 36 cents an hour." And she was like, "Oh, okay, I'll try my best. It's going to be difficult, though, because we're going to have to blah, blah, blah." I was like, "Okay, cool. Do what you need to do." They came back to me like a week later and were like, I got $3 more for you.
Which is still not enough, but like,
Which is like,
it's
okay.
insane that you had to threaten them with you leaving for them to be like, here's like a little bit more.
God,
Here's
we'll do some math here.
Here's still not enough, but like a little bit more. And like a lot of like propaganda around unions is like, ooh, they're just outside agitators trying to like disrupt our family environment or whatever. When really a union is more like, it's that, but it's like, hey, I noticed that you made like $10 trillion in profit this year. Can we have like 1% of that? That's what a union is. That's what they do.
Yeah, actually though. And it's funny, I just did the math. So I bumped up my raise about 8 times.
What do you mean?
Like 8 times. Like it was originally at 36 cents.
Oh.
And I was like, I'm gonna fucking leave if you don't make that more.
Yeah, and it was multiplied 8 times.
I believe that is what maybe it was, let's see, 36 cents. I mean, about. I think it was 6 times. I don't know. But
yeah, it's
still,
like a little under 10 times.
Right? Like, bro, are you fucking with me?
Yeah, and that's why we need labor organizing.
Yeah, and we've all seen that. CVS is now drowning because of me.
Oh yeah. You know that extra $3 an hour. Yeah, that
just didn't.
And the really insane part is that to a corporation, like absolutely floundering and failing, to them is we made not even less, just the same amount of profit as last quarter.
No, it's like they cover their overhead, they cover their like immediate expenses, and then they expect to like to have a certain rate of growth.
Yeah.
Because they have like these 10-year, 5-year plans, right? Of like this is how we're gonna grow. And if that's even touched at all, they're like, fuck no.
Yeah. Yeah, like because of capitalist brain rot, like the people running these companies like have it in their heads that like if they don't make like 10 times more profit than last quarter, like they're somehow failing. Like, it doesn't matter that they're still making a profit. They're still making probably more profit than last quarter. It's just that they didn't make enough more profit.
Exactly.
And like the thing that like is really like the most like damaging part of it is that like you can't have infinite growth in a finite world.
Yeah.
So like that's why
yes and no.
that's why like the capitalist model of economic growth isn't sustainable, because you can't have infinite growth. It's going to hit a brick wall at some point.
I agree with you, but the thing that's hard to quantify is where that brick wall is.
Yeah.
Right, and so as far as the market is concerned, they're treating it as there is no brick wall.
Yeah.
Because it's just hard to figure out where that, like, and not, when I say it's hard, I'm not saying like, oh, it's so hard. It's like, no, it's fucking difficult. It's like a lot of economic research would have to go into that.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like slight changes in socioeconomic status for some people, like, would shift that wall significantly. And a lot of that isn't dictated by the market. A lot of it is dictated by the government. So, that's why they treat it like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't like that it's not enough anymore to be a profitable business.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like, it's not enough that you have a business that is making more money than it spends. Like, that's not enough for you. Like, you need to expand, what, forever?
Mm-hmm. Like, imagine this. Imagine the yearly income of Apple is like a potato, right? It's a nice little potato when they're shaving the skin off, right? And they shave all the skin off. And then a little rat comes up to you, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, can you just skim off just like the smallest chunk of potato so that I can eat a little bit and feed my family and maybe get a better little burrow
that sounds
hole.
like an outside agitator just looking to take a chunk of your paycheck.
Exactly. And then imagine throwing the entire might of that potato at that squirrel and destroying it.
I thought it was a rat.
Or rat, I should say. I don't know. Let's just say it's a squirrel or beaver. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
some kind of rodent.
My point is, I don't know.
Yeah.
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 What do I look like, an economist?
No, I thought where you were going with that was like the little rat. If in the metaphor the rat is like, I don't know, like vaguely capitalism.
Unions?
Yeah. Like if
I don't know.
No, if the rat is like, let's say like business owners or like shareholders. Yeah. You know, it's like, hey, can I have a little bit of that potato? And then they come back and they're like, can I have double what I had last time? And then they just keep doing that. And it's like, there's only so much potato.
Right, but like...
I can't just keep giving you double the amount of potato. We either need to get a new potato or slow down the amount of potato that you're taking.
Well, each year, Apple gets a new potato.
Yeah.
Because that's their gross income, right?
Well, like, if the rat is like business as a whole and the potato is the earth, we either need to find a new fucking planet or just slow down before we consume everything. I think we're getting too much in the
weeds with this. I'm losing it, man. I think we're getting too much in the weeds with this metaphor.
We're under too many layers. But anyway, I want to finish up this section about the thing. So, yeah, I think I was starting to make this point. Yeah, so democracy is good overall. It's good in our government and it's good in the workplace, it turns out.
Yeah.
It just gets you a better pay. It gets you better wages.
Shit.
Gets you better benefits.
Who'da thunk it?
Like, wow. I don't know why so many people are still under the impression that like a totalitarian, like rigid hierarchy is the best way to do business when we know it's not the best way to govern.
I think what like at least people that I've seen on the right are like afraid of is like it proliferating into that, which I don't see that happening.
What do you mean?
Either way, like they're afraid it'll start with like unions and then we'll go back to like, I don't know, then some law will be passed and we'll become a fucking communist country.
Having a union is just more democracy. It gives,
asking me how that would work, I don't know, because it's like, there's so many layers of thinking on the more conservative side that I haven't begun to even start thinking about.
I wouldn't call it thinking, but yeah, there's just...
Yeah, I mean, just like layers of like reasonings.
It's like a completely different mindset.
Yeah, I mean, we as people on the left do the same thing. So, I mean,
Wait, what do you mean?
oh, I don't like gosh, and I'm not saying this won't happen, but I'm just as an example. With the overturn of Roe versus Wade, now we feel like they're going to be after interracial marriage, same-sex marriage.
Well, Clarence Thomas did say, like, next we're going to go after whichever case I believe decided like gay marriage, and he was like, yeah, we're going to go after. I don't know if it was like just Clarence Thomas saying this, but like I know like a lot of people like in that like sphere are like, yeah, so we're not done, obviously. Like, we're going to go after
also,
the right
like
to contraception. We're going to go after the right to same-sex marriage. Clarence Thomas didn't say specifically that he's going to go after Loving v. Virginia, which is the case that decided interracial marriage because he's in an interracial marriage. But
himself,
like, that's where they're going. It's just what they're saying they're going to do.
And it's like, especially with the whole marriage thing, it's almost like they're forgetting that full faith and credit. I think I mentioned this in another episode.
Yeah, we talked about it, I think, last week, how like full faith and credit means that if you have a same-sex same-sex marriage in one state, it has to be recognized in another state.
Exactly. And because I mean the same thing applies to like your driver's license, to your car registration, to your gun registration. And it changes if you're depending on where you're a resident, but I mean it still applies, right? Which is why you don't have customs between states, right? You don't have to go through a customs enforcement thing, right? Because we have a thing called full faith and credit.
Yeah, and like
and it works.
And we're all still like a country.
Yeah,
like we have a federal government for a reason.
Yeah.
There should be no need to have like customs at every state border.
And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. What I'm saying is that principle still applies when it comes to marriage, when it comes to cars, when it comes to guns, when it comes to insurance, when it comes to like.
Well, just like what we've seen with abortion, like when you go after, one like right that's based on a certain principle, you kind of, it's like pulling out a Jenga block, right? Like we have like the right to privacy. So the Supreme Court says based on, I believe, the 14th Amendment, we have like a right to privacy, and that's why.
And that's search and seizure, right? Fourth Amendment.
Fourth, I don't know, but I the 14th Amendment was, I believe, the justification for like marriage equality.
Did you say 14th? Okay, hang on.
Yeah, I don't know. One of something in the Constitution. My point is the Supreme Court argues that because of the Constitution, you have a right to privacy, which means that you have a right to an abortion.
Okay.
At least to some extent. You're guaranteed within, I think, the first trimester, you can get an abortion no matter what. And then second trimester, it can be regulated a little bit. Third trimester, states can restrict it if they want. So because of the right to privacy, you have the right to get an abortion. And now they're like, no, you can't get an abortion. And since it's based on that right to privacy, it brings into question that principle, which then brings up a whole load of other questions.
For sure. And you know what? Well, like pisses me off, like severely, is the complete like two-facedness of the Republican Party right now. When they were originally like, oh no, we just want to overturn Roe versus Wade, and we'll stop there. And they're like, now we want to pass a federal law making abortion illegal.
Yeah, absolutely. Do not for a second believe Republicans when they say they just want to do something.
Like, for fuck's sake. I mean,
we just want to kick it back to the states. Like, Lindsey Graham specifically said, we're going to bring it back to the states. I believe it's a states' rights issue. And now he's
Lindsey Graham has said a lot of stuff.
Lindsey Graham has said a lot. He said he's straight. He said,
which no judgment. No judgment. That's not a bad thing. It's straight or gay, no issue.
It's bad to be a hypocrite, though.
Oh, it's bad on 3 separate independent occasions. To say one thing and do the exact opposite.
Yeah, so anyway, now Lindsey Graham is like, hey, much to Mitch McConnell's chagrin, he's like, I'm proposing a national abortion ban right before midterms, by the way.
Yeah. No, it's really great because it's really funny. Or not great. It's really funny because Republicans are realizing that there are female Republicans.
Yeah. Well, also, like, just broadly across the country, Roe versus Wade is a very popular, like, set of guidelines.
Yeah, most Americans agreed with it. And if not just for, like, the right to an abortion, at least for the right of, like, yeah, I don't want the government to be telling me what I can and cannot do with my body.
Yeah, it's just...
Which I can respect. I can respect that.
Like, a pretty strong majority of Americans agree that you shouldn't, like, regardless of what you think about abortion itself, you at least have the right to get one if that's what you see is right for you. You know, it's between you and your doctor. And now doctors are having to let patients die because they don't know if they're going to get sued if they treat a miscarriage.
Well, it depends on where you're from, which, again, I don't think it should depend on where you're from.
Yeah, I mean, like in red states, this is happening.
Yeah, in some other states, it's like at least some medical associations where the laws are a bit like are trying to catch up with the Supreme Court ruling. They're like, listen, if someone comes in and it appears that they've had a miscarriage, just assume it was a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Just assume it was a miscarriage.
Yeah, but even getting past that, if you want to like investigate it at all, like because there are laws on the books in a lot of states that are like, no, if you do this procedure, which can be an abortion or treat a miscarriage, like we're gonna throw the book at you. Like you can't really tell the difference between a miscarriage and an abortion.
Well, you know, it's going to be funny when the rubber hits the road here and it's a, I don't know, Republican senator's daughter who got impregnated.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the circumstances would be in that scenario, but let's just, for this example, leave it vague. And just watch them, like, be like, well, this is different because...
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be made public. I mean, I'm sure it's already happened. It happens a lot. Republican congressmen will have, like, you know, their mistress will get an abortion, right?
Yeah.
And, like, sometimes you find out about it, but I would wager that it happens a lot more than we think. It just gets covered up. And
let's not forget, like, abortion didn't just start happening after Roe versus Wade. Abortion had been happening for centuries.
I was watching I wish I remembered what video it was, but I saw a video talking about like the history of abortion and like during like the 1770s, like around the time of the American Revolution, there were like medical books about like how to do abortion. It was just accepted societally. Like it wasn't an issue. It was just something you had to do sometimes.
Exactly. And have it be for medical reason or not, now people are resorting to like I would say freelance pharmacy
like back alley abortions.
Yeah, but it's dangerous because you have some people like, I don't know, ingesting poison hemlock.
Yeah, turns out it's very dangerous to get an abortion on Fiverr.
What?
Yeah.
Really,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Little known medical fact.
Clears up a lot for me. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, it's just the turn of events.
It's sad. It's really sad.
Anyway, props to the National Labor Relations Board is the point of this segment.
It's the point.
If I was to sum it up very eloquently, I would say this.
Guess what? It grows the economy. Benefits everybody. Hurts nobody.
That's great. So anyway, another economic story that I want to talk about, this is from the New York Times. 4-day work week brings no loss of productivity, companies and experiments say. So it says here, more than 70 companies in Britain are undergoing a 6-month experiment in which their employees get a paid day off each week. So far, most companies say it's going well. So like at the work, I listened to a Secular Talk segment on this, and from this article, apparently at worst, productivity has stayed the same. And at the best, it's like gotten a lot better because people, it turns out people do a better job when they're not exhausted.
Well, I just hate how in the States, it's like relaxation's almost seen as laziness.
Well, yeah, we still have that like Protestant work ethic where like if you have a moment to yourself, like
why aren't you working?
like Yeah, why aren't you working? It's like a moral failure to just
Right.
have some me time.
Exactly. And like on top of that, there are like extensive benefits to just having some relaxation time, but also the effects of that relaxation time on the quality of your work.
Yeah. Yeah, like there are layers of why this is good. Like on one hand, like just on like
Alex, are
on
you
like
saying that
a human
this
level.
is multifaceted?
On a human level, it's just better to have less time working and more time for hobbies, interests, or even just sitting on the couch. Like, I think sitting on the couch shouldn't be seen as like bad or lazy. Like sometimes you just need some time to recharge. And like it's your time. You should be allowed to use it how you want.
For sure.
So like on a human level, it's just good to have more time to do whatever you want. Or like if you have kids, it's good to spend more time with your kids, it turns out.
What?
Yeah.
Are you
and then
that
it's good on an
helps your
economic
kids
level.
to spend time with them?
It's good for like the owning class to have a more productive workforce. So like it's
and a more happy workforce.
Right?
Having a workforce that deals more kindly with one another, has more patience with one another.
Yeah. And regardless of the economic benefits, I would, if it was me, like if I could just decide to have America switch to a 4-day work week, I would go for it purely for the human benefit. But it helps. Sure. It helps that it also benefits the owning class.
Mm-hmm. This like really reminds me about like the drinking culture in Europe too.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is happening in London, you said, right? Or England?
Yeah, it's in England.
Yeah.
Well, Britain. Like, so England and the rest of Britain.
Whatever. Who fucking cares about those Europeans?
Yeah.
But it reminds me of like drinking culture because like in America you don't drink and work. Like you don't.
Yeah.
You don't drink on the job. That's like so not good.
Especially if you operate heavy machinery. I would say.
Especially if you operate heavy machinery, even if you're on your break, right? You don't drink alcohol.
You don't want to be inebriated while
you're on the job.
Some types of work. Some of it you can be drunk if you want. Like
like how often office workers at like English companies will go on their like maybe hour lunch break and just go to a pub, have a beer.
Yeah. Well, like I go to Domino's sometimes, right? And like I smell a little something and I'm like, I know that's not a skunk. And like the pizza tastes the same regardless, so fucking let them.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest here. These Fortune 500 companies have like reinvented the wheel of cooking like a million times so that even a person with half a brain and half an arm could function.
Yeah. So anyway,
make a sandwich.
European, I don't want to get too sidetracked. So European drinking culture, they like to, not only go into the streets and say this, they also like to go into work and do a little bit of this too.
Well, there's a comedian named Jim Jeffries and he kind of talks about this a little bit.
I know Jim Jeffries. He's great.
Really funny guy.
I want to cover my ass. I don't know what he's been up to lately. So if he's gone the route of Ricky Gervais or like
Louis
C.K. If he's either become insufferable or if he's done bad things, like I'm talking about like 2014 and back Jim Jeffries. Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen some of his recent stuff. Like I don't. It's just hard talking about comedians now because so many of them are awful.
But he mentions how when he was in Australia doing shows, he would be like buzzed. He'd be fully buzzed.
Yeah.
Right. And he would be like, I would be fully buzzed and I'd get off the stage for another set and they would say, hey Jim, you need another beer? Right. Yeah. And he's like, then I got to America and they're like, remember not to use beer as a crutch, Jim. Don't use beer as a crutch. And he's like, I can't use beer as a crutch because a crutch helps me walk.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He didn't actually say that. That was a Mitch Hedberg joke that I stole. But it was on par with that of like in Europe, they're like, hey, do you need another beer? Whereas in America, we're like, don't get on stage too drunk.
Yeah. Like comedian is probably the number one job where like it's not only okay but encouraged to drink on the job.
Oh yeah, bro, okay, if you get angry on the job at some like European business or something, they'll probably be like, "Hey, why don't you just go have a drink, relax?"
Yeah,
you know.
This is Europe. This is Europe when you drink on the job, and this is America when you drink on the job.
You are radically unsuccessful. You're a giant
it's
loser.
True though.
A giant who is a loser and also a giant loser.
So anyway,
That's so fitting. That
yeah,
is
the
so
4-day
fitting.
work week, it's great. They're not getting less money. They're making the same amount of money. I know, like probably one of the top 3 concerns with something like this is like, well, what am I getting? You know, I'm getting less hours, getting less pay. No, it's just a paid day off every week. So you're not making any less money. You're still productive and everything.
I'm paying you to relax.
Yeah, I feel like even if it wasn't as productive though, it would still be fine. Like generally I feel like we make enough. We make more than enough things, broadly speaking.
Listen, we are the #1 economy per capita in the fucking world.
We make more than we know what to do with.
We make more than our population even knows we make.
Yeah, there are like landfills full of just shit that we didn't get to.
Bro, we could launch an asteroid into space full of just our shit.
Yeah.
Like in Futurama.
You know that giant like pile of trash in the ocean that grows bigger every day?
Yeah.
Probably a good 70% of that is just Walmart's like clearance that they couldn't sell.
Oh yeah, bro. Dude, I'll live on that trash island. That's free real estate right there.
Yeah. Not if China gets to it first, then it's very expensive real
has
estate.
a war over a trash island.
No, that's my trash.
No, dude, that sounds like an Onion article. We're on a fly today. That like
Yo, they
border dispute over trash island between China and the United States.
Okay, look, Onion, if you're listening, can I call you Onion?
Can I call you? How about
Look, you can have one of those for free, but the rest you got to pay for.
Hold on, wait. Biological name of onion.
It's asking Siri. It's asking Siri what the thing is.
Can I call you Onion or Allium Seppa?
Mr. Allium Seppa.
Hi, Mr.
Please, Allium Seppa was my father.
Father, call me Onion. Oh, man. Whew. So anyway, 4-day work week.
No, so I feel like we make probably too many things. I feel like we can just, similar to the last segment I talked about how like we just don't need infinite growth. We don't need to keep making more things. I feel like we could scale back our production so much and like you would not see any like impact on your life if we just stopped making so many things. I feel like, well, I mean, it is more nuanced and complicated than that. I will say we make too many of certain things, and then like the resources we put to that could be used for other stuff.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
how many Chromebooks do you see at Walmart, right?
Dude, I've seen like 3 Chromebooks smashed in a parking lot.
Yeah, check your couch cushions. You probably have a Chromebook in there.
Yeah. Like check your laundry, check your lint drum. From your dryer, you'll probably find a Chromebook in there.
Focusing on like a microcosm of what I'm talking about at Walmart or like other stores like that, there are just so many shit laptops, so many shit computers that are just cheap garbage, basically e-waste.
Cheap garbage. Yeah.
Like they sell e-waste because like a lot of people just don't have the money for more expensive computers, so they buy these cheap laptops. And they just aren't good, and they get thrown out within like a year.
For sure.
Like we make too much stuff that is just garbage. We make stuff that just it has no use other than filling a landfill.
In terms of like when you say make stuff, manufacturing, right?
Yeah, generally speaking,
most of the stuff, and this is why it's not really counted in our GDP. I mean, it sometimes is. It's complicated. We manufacture a lot of parts, right? And then ship them off other places to be put together.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm speaking very generally here to be clear.
Yeah.
Like, we make too much stuff kind of applies everywhere. It applies here. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know enough to say, like, we manufacture 10% too many of whatever of this widget.
Most of our economy is just a service economy anyway, which is
Yeah.
fine. It still makes a lot.
They're just,
does a lot.
my point is we have enough things. I feel like we could just ease up on making more things because we have enough.
Yeah, but a lot of the things, at least the good things, like the things that are worth having, like are owned by a small percentage of people.
Yeah. Imagine if, like, let's say, like, you know, for whatever it takes to make like 4 e-waste laptops, if that could be made, if the materials that went into that and like the time and effort that went into that could make like, I don't know, like 1 or 2 Surface Pros. Like, it's more useful to have the Surface Pros,
sure.
but because of like markets and everything, we just put time and effort and resources into just cheap garbage.
Right. Well, and a lot of the cost, I mean, specifically for computers, a lot of the cost is just the CPU. And mainly because it's like only really made in Taiwan.
Yeah.
And like, that's why I'm like really supportive of Biden's, like, let's make these computer chips here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do that here.
It's just a good thing to do.
Why can't we do that here? Because if Taiwan, for some reason, has some shitty shit happen to it, we can't just not have computers.
Yeah.
And if some shitty shit happens to Taiwan, who do you think the world's going to go to then for computer parts, for CPUs?
Right.
Right? Like,
right.
It's just smart. It's just a good idea.
Yeah. It's a very essential thing in the 21st century, in the same way that oil companies have been essential to just the world continuing to exist.
Yeah.
So like, you could make a pretty strong argument. Like I know people have already been saying, like, maybe we should nationalize oil, the oil industry, and like, maybe, yeah. I mean, let's not take it off the table. But like the computer industry has gotten to the point where like, it may be too dangerous to leave it up to like private entities.
Yeah.
Like, there's an I mean, I don't want mom and dad to fight again, but there's an argument to be made. Like, hey, maybe we should like not
what are you
only
saying, Alex? What do you think?
there's you could make the argument that not only should we move the manufacturing here, but it should also be nationalized because it's just that vital.
Oh, for sure. Well, when you say dangerous, like, I know what you mean.
To your point of it's a good thing to move the manufacturing here, this is what I have to say about it.
Guess what? It grows the economy.
It benefits everybody, and it hurts nobody.
Indeed. I was going to mention too, like, I'm not like too scared about like computer stuff not being available in terms of like national security, mainly because our like ships and stuff that the US military uses and like our satellites and stuff, like, they have like their own special hardware and software specifically designed so that people don't really know how it works.
Yeah.
So and it reminds me too of like when nuclear submarines first became like a big thing. They used like paper printers to give out data, right? And so they had thousands of pounds of just paper and ink just on board.
Yeah.
Because they needed to have it. And then it all became computerized, and they like saved so much weight that they could use instead on like food or like weapons or like
that's good
other essentials. And the cool thing is, all this technology that is being used by the military, like at least on ships, is pretty much just a toaster that is specifically designed so that you don't know how it works with specifically designed software.
Yeah.
I just think that's cool, and I wanted to go off on a tangent.
That is pretty cool. That's some cool stuff.
I love it. It's great.
Yeah. Anyway, so we talked about the Elton John thing. That was just a little goofy gaff.
It was great. That made my day.
I do have 2 other news stories. One of them, it's mostly the headline that's funny. A guy ate a guy named Kevin Bacon.
You told me that too.
Yeah, cannibal in Michigan was arrested, and he's charged with killing and eating a man named Kevin Bacon. Not the Kevin Bacon, not the one that everyone is 7 degrees separated from.
It's Kevin with a C.
Yeah, Seven Bacon.
No, it's still pronounced the same way. It's just Kevin with a C.
It's actually a very tragic story. Like a man died.
Oh, no.
So I kind of feel bad making fun of it. But like he's named after food.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
There's
disclaimer.
It's not funny that a guy died, but there's a degree of irony that you just can't write. Like,
yeah,
like if the Onion,
if
was like, hey, a cannibal ate a guy named Kevin Bacon, we'd be like, okay, you're kind of getting
bro.
into hack territory.
This is stuff that society can deem as funny, but not you.
Yeah.
Right. But it's like, it's equivalent to like if we lost some astronauts in the fucking winds of Uranus.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's like, oh, national tragedy, but yeah.
Yeah, it's more ironic than funny. And that's all that I really wanted to say about it. It's actually a very sad situation. Like, person was murdered. It's not It's not funny, is it?
Next sentence. Let me preface this next sentence by saying this isn't funny, it's sad.
Yeah.
Our hearts and thoughts
I'm
and
not
prayers to
racist,
family. But I think it would be comical if the person who did the eating was just blind and someone said, yeah, that's bacon.
Yeah.
And they didn't get the hint until someone was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I want to preface this sentence
oh no.
by saying I've never wanted to eat another person. I've never ever had the urge.
Unless it's that pussy.
Unless it's that pussy. I've never felt the need or the want to become a cannibal. However, I just feel like when you talk about cannibalism, like once you get past the part where you killed the guy, right? You have a dead body. You have a dead body there.
Don't tell me you're going this place.
It's a human-shaped pile of meat, all right? Now, look, you've already killed the guy. That's bad. That's horrible. It is bad to eat people. But I feel like when you get to that point, is it really that much of like a leap to be like, I'm gonna chop off a little bit and just see what it tastes like?
So funny enough,
you know what I mean? Like food is expensive.
There's another comedian that I know of that had a joke similar to this. That was he was trying to remake church music because he thought it was weird how it was sinful to have like church music that sounds catchy.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's akin to how a soldier can kill a man on Friday but not eat him because he can't eat meat on Friday, according to the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Right? And so, anyway, that's what I was going to say. But, if they're two consenting adults,
I heard that kind of thing goes on the deep web.
Why does it have to be consolidated to the deep web, though?
Right.
Like, that's my question. If you go to some lawyer, right, just to make sure everything's kosher, and you were like, hey, this is the deal. This is my friend. He just fucking hates his arm. Just doesn't like it. I've always been curious about how it tastes.
Yeah.
We have come to a mutual agreement. He's here of his own volition and his own sane mind to sign a document saying that he gives me permission to cut off and eat his arm. We will have doctors available to make sure that he doesn't die or has permanent painful complications.
I will say it's no less dignified. Like if you were to like sell your arm to a cannibal, it's no less dignified than like a lot of jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck it. I'll sell my kidney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I want to clarify. I do believe cannibalism and killing people generally, it should be illegal still. But once you're on the other side of the law with one of those, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're already breaking the law. Like you're not a law-abiding, like God-fearing citizen.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's all to say, like, just don't be surprised when it happens. Maybe.
I mean, listen, we're in a nation of over 360 million people. There's going to be one dude who's going to eat another dude. That's just what's going to happen. That's just going to happen. It's going to be rare. It's going to be less than a percentage of whatever's, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, you're right. So anyway, I have one more news story that we don't really have time for. We're about an hour in. But a little preview. This is from a local news station. Second grader was instructed to, quote, send picture of you doing reading homework in bathtub, unquote, parents say. So that's from a Christian school, and some reading assignment. It's like, hey, send a picture of you reading at the dinner table or in the bathtub. Like, it's supposed to be like, hey, read in all these fun places, but one of them is the bathtub, and I don't want to start covering it. We're not covering it. That's the setup for it, and we can get to it next week.
Are you trying to silence me, Alex? Are you trying to cancel me, Alex?
I'm a woke moralist now. Anyway, we watched a movie this week, didn't we?
Oh, I watched a movie today, which is in this week. So
I
yes.
also watched it today.
Oh, it was better than expected, actually.
Yeah, so we watched 2008's The Incredible Hulk. So yeah, I think we both thought like I thought, at least going into it, that it was gonna be like kind of boring, kind of a slog to get through, but it was like kind of well paced, and it was like it had good action and compelling characters.
There was 1/3 of a sex scene. I'll take it. There is 1/3 of a sex scene. I'll take it.
Yeah. I liked it. It was good. I thought the characters were great. I like Edward Norton as Bruce Banner. I thought he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I thought he was okay. I just thought he was a little, and I can't think of any other word that would better describe this. So just throw out any word after I say this. I think he was a little wimpish for the role.
Yeah, well, that's why I like him as Bruce Banner, because I like Mark Ruffalo. I like him generally.
Beta males, am I right?
He's like, Mark Ruffalo isn't a bad actor. I don't want this to sound like Mark Ruffalo slander, but I think he's too hunky. He's too hunky to be Bruce Banner. With Edward Norton, there's more of a contrast between little wimpy peewee ass nerd Bruce Banner and the Hulk. I think it works pretty well. He feels like a nerd in a way that Mark Ruffalo doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, I liked Mark Ruffalo because he was if there was a fighting force and he was on it, his physique is what I would expect to be on a fighting force.
Yeah, but the point of Bruce Banner is that he doesn't want to be on a fighting force or anything like that. He's just a scientist that happens to turn into a big rage monster.
Exactly.
Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner feels like a guy that turns into the Hulk.
Right, but I feel like Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner was definitely more accepting of the Hulk than
and that also has to do with where his character is.
Right, exactly. And I liked the scene where Tony Stark comes in. That was good. I liked that.
That was cool.
That was really cool.
I want to touch on that a little bit later, because I have a whole list of stuff that they set up in this movie that they just never elaborate on.
I know.
And I want to touch on that later. But I think Edward Norton, he plays a convincing Pee-wee. And I like that. I like that. Okay. I like that for this movie at least. I don't know. I don't know how well it would work in an Avengers movie or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It definitely doesn't. His performance doesn't fit with the quote unquote MCU version of the Hulk.
It's a little. I mean, I feel like the MCU is devoid of campiness, and this movie had a little campiness in it.
I don't know. The MCU, it's
a touch. It's just not even a drip, but like an amoeba, small bit of campiness, which was fine. It was fun. I liked it.
Yeah, I don't know if I would call it campiness, but like, yeah, this definitely takes the Hulk seriously in a way that the rest of the MCU just hasn't. Like like the Hulk in the rest of the MCU is just kind of a joke.
Yeah,
especially
like, if you get like throw a oh god, what I was gonna say. Throw a fucking oh god, never mind. No, I had a thing. It's gone now. Anyway,
like the Hulk in this movie feels like a force of nature. Like he is a terrifying monster, and that has to do with like the fact that he doesn't show up a lot. Like he's in like a very select few scenes, mostly in the shadows. That really sets him up as kind of like in Jaws. Like he's like the shark from Jaws.
Right.
Like he shows up very sparingly and he's mostly just talked about.
But I also like that at least the Bruce Banner from the MCU, the Mark Ruffalo one. You could tell he was definitely in the inner circle because him and Tony Stark were like best buds.
Yeah.
But anyway, I loved the 2008-esque suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
You know, just like they don't have flip phones. Or sorry, they do have flip phones. They have flip phones with buttons, like physical buttons on them.
Yeah.
And when he goes to the laboratory to like look up information about his thing, he like just uses his old credentials to try to get in. Like they wouldn't have, like the U.S. military wouldn't have that on fucking lockdown, and if someone tried to use it, they would like pinpoint the location.
Yeah, this movie is definitely written with a 2008 understanding of technology. Like
not even just tech, not even just like physical tech, but just like what software can do.
Yeah, like what the internet
really
is.
Do. Like it's gotten, and I hate to bring up like a fucking Facebook company, but like it's getting a little meta.
Yeah.
Like a computer can talk and stuff just like I can.
Yeah. So like right after Betty and Bruce like are on the run, and the army is like, oh, we got to track them with the credit cards or whatever, and they like are listing off like ways to track them, and it's like, and yeah, we're tracking her web account. Like which one? Like what? Her Facebook account?
Her Facebook?
Her
OnlyFans,
AOL
what?
account?
Yeah.
Like what? No, just her web account. Like to log into the web. I don't know. Like whatever that means.
It's like fucking, what is it? Like it's hotmail.com.
Yeah. Dude, my mom still has a Hotmail email address.
Oh my god. I can't believe that's still a thing.
It's all just switched over to Outlook, but yeah, like if you made an email account back then on Hotmail, like you still have the domain name.
It just sounds like a porn thing now.
It does.
Like an email porn site.
Yeah, website names were just more creative. It was more Wild West-esque back then. It was just you could like names were just whatever.
Just like if I wanted to make a website back in 2008, I would look at what I'm drinking, which is a LaCroix, and what I am, which is a boy, and I'd be like LaCroix boy.
Yeah, until like recent years, I had no idea what GoDaddy was, but I saw their commercials and I knew it was a website.
And I was like,
it's got to be a porn thing, but there's no way that like they'd be showing commercials on national television.
Exactly, and like they kind of like they leaned into that.
It seemed like a porn thing.
Yeah, no, like it got your attention, right?
Yeah, all of their commercials were like bikini babes and stuff.
Right. And like whenever a commercial would come on, even though like my parent would probably have the remote at the time, I would look at them like, should we change the channel?
Yeah, I don't think I should be watching this, quite frankly. I don't think this is good for my developing brain.
On him and saying, go daddy.
Yeah.
Like
anyway, I want to close out the suspension of disbelief thing with this, and I did mention this earlier when we were calling. So at one part, and I wanted to complain about this, not really to say anything about the movie, just to complain about this one part. So Bruce Banner is like disguised as a pizza boy trying to get into the college. And he's like, hey, I got a delivery on whatever, like the 5th floor. And he's talking to Lou Ferrigno. Who played Hulk in the 70s show.
The original Hulk.
That's
I
cool.
love that.
Yeah, I like that. I love cameos
he's
like
deaf?
He's deaf?
He's literally deaf.
Like
I'm not even
fully or
kidding.
like
fully deaf, 100% deaf.
I did not know that.
Cannot hear. Yep.
It's interesting. But anyway, so he's disguised as a pizza boy trying to get in. And he's like, I got a delivery on this floor. And Lou Ferrigno's like, nah, we don't got anyone up there, which should have been the first red flag if you're a security guard, if you know that there's no one up there that would have ordered a pizza.
Yeah.
At this like highly secure facility, or not even, I guess at least like a lab. Like you don't want people breaking into a lab, you know?
What?
And then
really?
Yeah, I know. And then Bruce is like, I got an extra medium pizza here for you.
He didn't even mention what was on it.
Yeah, I mean,
there's
pizza's
anchovy
pizza.
pineapple.
Yeah, I mean, you could pick some things off, but anchovy and pineapple leave a mark for sure.
Oh, you will know there is anchovies and pineapple on a pizza, even if there's not anchovies and pineapple on that pizza.
Yeah. So anyway, Bruce is like, I'm gonna catch hell if I don't collect on this order. And you know, speaking as someone who has had pizza boy as a day job, I know from experience. I mean, I didn't deliver in 2008. So I don't know anything about like collecting or anything like that. Everyone just pays over the internet. But I know for a fact he would not have an extra medium pizza on him. He like either like, and again, it's a cover story, so it doesn't really matter. But within the narrative that he is crafting, either he's giving the security guard part of the order, which he is going to get hell if he doesn't collect on. Like he's already like he doesn't want to be in more trouble for this order.
You're already out one order then. That's what that means.
Like he's going to get in more trouble for this very evidently important order.
Right.
Or he just has an extra pizza, which they don't just give you an extra pizza when you go out on a delivery. Like that's just not what happens. That's not at all how it works. And that has no impact on the quality of the movie.
Right. Yeah.
But that just really bothered me.
I like when that soldier dude became Abomination. He just dropped the British accent.
Yeah. Yeah, he still like talks and everything. Like it's still Emil Blonsky in there, right? But he just talks differently. He's like, "You don't deserve this power."
He would have said it. You don't deserve this power.
I feel like you can't take him seriously if he's still British, though.
Yeah, I mean, I expect him to be punching Hulk with like a pinky up if he talks like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Oi, Gov, I'm the Abomination, isn't it?
Nice to meet your acquaintance. I'm the Abomination.
Which, by the way,
God
the Abomination,
save the Queen.
The Abomination has actually showed up a couple of times in the MCU in recent like projects. He's in She-Hulk,
Really?
which is still going now.
Oh,
And
that's still a thing.
Yeah, he showed up in Shang-Chi as like a background
How about
character. Yeah. They actually gave him a more like comic accurate look with like the fins on his face and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think he talks more like the guy now when he's
Yeah.
Abomination.
For sure.
And you're definitely not supposed to take him seriously anymore.
No. What was I going to say? I love how throughout this entire movie, it's been proven like more times than they can count with all of their fingers combined, that shooting the Hulk doesn't work.
Yeah. Not only does shooting a Hulk not work, but also like in the end battle where they're on like the helicopter and they got the guy on the minigun. He's like shooting at the Abomination when he's like scaling this apartment building. And he's like shooting everywhere except for the Abomination.
Except for where he is.
Like every second you're shooting that gun, you have killed 10 people.
Yeah. And
which, by the way,
thousands
this is well before the MCU had every battle take place in like deserted like fields. So like there were people there. Like you could see there was a guy in that building.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just there was that, and like I liked when he's just like, I have to jump out of this plane and fight Abomination, and she's like, don't do it. We don't know if you're cured yet. And he's just like, I gotta try. I think he just wanted to kill himself.
Yeah.
I think he was just like, god damn. I thought I would be cured, and then they'd be like, you're free to go. But it looks like this is gonna be more of a situation.
Yeah.
I just want to die now.
Yeah. No, I expected, like, in that scene, when she's like, you don't know if you'll transform, I expected him to be like, oh, it's okay, I'll just get, like, really excited, and, like, I gotta do it pretty quickly, so, like, here's the thing, I already undid my belt, okay?
Yeah, I
You
was
just
like, what if that doesn't work?
just
If he's
reach-
just like, listen.
Just gotta give it a little tug. You don't even have to give me a happy ending.
Backs up accidentally out of the plane while falling, yells happy
Yeah,
ending.
he's like, you don't have to give me a happy ending.
Ending.
As he's falling.
Just like rips
Team
his
Rocket.
pants off, starts blowing in front of her dad. Just like, but wouldn't it be great if he wasn't like,
Betty, just touch it, just the tip, just a little bit,
just touch it,
just a little bit.
I
I
think
gotta
it'd be
Hulk out.
funny
Like, this
if
is
she was
life and
like-
death here, Betty. Just, I know he's looking. Just look me in the eyes. It's just you and me here. Just a little tug.
I think it would be great if Betty was like more horny than he was. And
She
so he's
kind
just
of
like,
is. I mean,
A
not in
little
that
bit.
scene. In the earlier scene.
Yeah, the 1/3 of the sex scene.
Yeah.
Where he's like, they're making out, they're about to get heavy and dirty into it, and his watch is like, yo, bro, you're about to transform.
His watch is like the opposite of a wingman. It's just cock blocking him.
Just like, bro, listen, bro. Like, I know people have colloquially said that their dick has ripped someone in half.
Yeah. You
I'm
will
talking
ruin
literal.
this woman.
She will have to have her organs literally rearranged.
Yeah.
No, it's so stupid too. I think it'd be funny if they're like in the plane and he's just like, okay, listen, I'll try to, like, I don't know, shoot me in the foot. I'll try to cut my arm or something to get my to Hulk out. And she's like, don't worry, just rips off his pants.
Yeah.
And he's like a little shocked, and that shock is like what gets him like to green out.
Yeah. Dude, she's a freak. She's freaky.
She told me
She
like,
saw
"Put
the
it in
Hulk
my
and she was
ass."
like, I can fix him.
she saw the Hulk and was like, finally, something that'll fit properly.
Yeah, Jesus. That's horrible. Oh, what was I gonna? Oh, I was gonna say I really like Betty in this movie.
Yeah,
I just
she's
like
pretty
her vibe. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know how to explain. I love how she talks and delivers her lines, and the only
Right.
way that I can describe it is like at times her delivery is very Wes Anderson-esque.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the part where they get to New York, she's like, what if we take the subway? He's like, yeah, me in a compressed metal tube and underground in the most aggressive city in the world. And she's like, yeah, let's take a cab.
Let's take a cab. Yeah.
Like that-
And the
that
cab turns out to
delivery-
be worse.
Like, just with her voice and the way she says it, like, I
Right.
don't know how to explain it other than it just feels like kind of like Wes Anderson-y and not in
Exactly,
an
yeah.
annoying, pretentious way.
I like how she's both like, she's not like just a romantic thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's also that she's actually like a scientist and knows what the fuck she's doing,
Yeah.
and she is actually like helping.
Yeah.
And
She's a
it's
pretty
not-
good love interest for 2008.
That's what I meant to say. Love interest, not love thing.
Yeah.
That was a bad wording.
Object.
Yeah, I was like, shit. Ah, damn it. Now I sound like I'm sexist. No, but
It's okay. Keep it up,
I-
and we'll get some of that Andrew Tate money.
Oh God, fucking hell, that guy. You know, I do myself a favor and just I don't think about him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I there were some parts that I was like she was basically almost married to like a psychologist.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, and so like she sees one glance of what she assumed. What was he, like her ex-husband or boyfriend?
They, like, I think they were dating. They at least, like, really care about each other.
Yeah. So
Like, on
anyway,
a
she's,
baseline,
like-
they care about each other. I don't know if they, like, were formally dating.
So she's basically like in a serious relationship with a guy,
Yeah, he is her Neil.
and she catches a glimpse of her ex-boyfriend, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, not even serious, just like, yeah, he turned into a green monster and left.
Yeah.
Like,
movies like this are a good lesson or a good example of why you just shouldn't date if you're not really into the person. Because, like, what if your mysterious ex from your past shows up? Then you have to explain, hey, I can't get married
I used to work at
today.
this lab. Listen,
I gotta call off our wedding because I was never in love with you. You were just a stopgap for, to tide me over until, the guy that I actually like comes back into my life.
Right.
Just be single if you're not into anyone.
But I mean, it seems like the dude takes it like really well. But I also think he saw the battle at Culver's University in Virginia.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I want to make sure she's okay, but this is beyond me.
Yeah.
This is above my. I talk to people and
He
help
knows
them
when to
with their
tap out.
problems. He's like, listen,
he's a man that knows his limits, and I really respect that.
I respect that, and I hope he found like someone better.
Yeah.
Also, also the suspension of disbelief. This one other thing. They have like Megan Fox working at a goddamn bottling plant. Are you fucking shitting me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Now, it turns out attractive people are capable of doing labor.
Like, I'm not saying that they're not. She was clearly a model.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like...
I think I've made my point in that, so...
Yeah. Well, I think it's safe to say, as a general rule, people that are involved in making movies, like in front of the camera at least, are generally just more attractive than the average person. So that's how you get moments like that where it's like, yeah, look at this like regular person that happens to be like a supermodel,
It's funny too.
You've brought this up, and I need to say this. That's what bothered me about New Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jess,
everyone's just too damn attractive.
Yeah, Jess. Well, everyone in the show is just like hot at worst. Like even the schlubby guy, whose whole deal is like, I'm just an everyday man, and women don't find me attractive. He's still like actor hot,
For sure.
And Jess, they like tried to gaslight us into thinking that Jess wasn't like one of the most beautiful people in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she's not a member of the Hollywood elite.
Listen, if she was not like as attractive, her little quirkiness, I'd be like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
You're just crazy.
Yeah, if someone acted like Jess but didn't look like Jess, everyone would hate them. And they tried to present Jess like she didn't look like how she looks.
Yeah.
And I hate it when TV and movies like do that.
Yeah. No. Quirkiness, if you're not attractive, is just craziness.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
If you're hot,
I hate saying that.
If you're hot and you do weird shit, you're quirky. You're a little unique.
Cool.
If you're
like
ugly and you do weird shit, that you get a restraining order.
Yeah. For sure. But
there's a very thin line
like
between crazy and quirky.
Oh yeah, no. I've worked at a pharmacy. I've noticed that difference. I like when he's like rappelling down the building and he looks into her window, and she's like freaking the fuck out. Right. The one thing that was interesting was like I wasn't sure if she was just getting out of the shower or if she was just that sweaty.
Oh.
Like, that's the thing, like, I'm just used to, like, anything happening in South America that is filmed, they're just drenched in sweat.
Yeah.
Right? And so, I don't, like, you've seen the city that he's in. I don't imagine they have AC.
Yeah. And they're, like, on the equator.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure she's just drenched in sweat, and she didn't just get out of the shower.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that theory. I will sign on to that. Yeah. Anyway, I think the last thing that I want to touch on before I get to the list of things that they set up and never elaborate on. Haley pointed this out while we were watching it.
Wait, can I point out, Haley, fucking stay in your lane. He's mine on this podcast.
Yeah, I got a little tattoo on the back of my neck that says "Property of Gavin." On Wednesdays or sometimes Thursdays from 4 to whatever time.
Whatever time delegated between the two of us.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
roughly 2 hours a week, property of Gavin.
Yeah.
It's a very wordy tattoo. It was very expensive.
We actually got a lawyer to make the wording.
I had to take out a loan
a contract lawyer.
for this tattoo.
We went into some substantial debt trying to get this tattoo made.
Yeah, I had to sell my arm to a cannibal to afford this tattoo.
It was delicious.
Yeah. Anyway, so she pointed out, and she wanted me to credit her if I brought this up. But
No, fuck you.
After Abomination becomes Abomination, he's fully naked. He has no clothing whatsoever, and he has a bulge, but no penis. There is no dick or balls on the Abomination, but he has a bulge. So like, what are his genitals covered in like a layer of like armor plating or something? Like, what happened to his dick and balls?
There, I like to think that like a layer of like subcutaneous fat just kind of went.
Yeah,
like,
it's like a fupa.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like a rock hard fupa.
Yeah, for sure. That's it.
Yeah. Anyway, so I would say like half of the things that they set up in this movie are just never elaborated on again. First of all, Betty's entire character.
Oh yeah, she just whatever.
She is never brought up. She's never mentioned at all. Bruce in the next movie is like, yeah, I've been on the run or whatever, and there's this lady.
Wait, there was a second one of these?
Was there? No, I didn't have a lady. No, there was. Yeah, I've just been on
Was
my
this the Mark
own
Ruffalo
forever.
one?
I've never had any loved ones.
Is this the Mark Ruffalo Hulk?
Yeah.
Okay. See, the thing is, I feel like if you put the canon of both of these movies together, she would be like super bitter because she literally did everything in her power to like make sure that he's okay. And she has connections. So she has put a bad precedent in front of her.
Oh yeah.
And
she's probably in prison like for the rest of her life for helping the Hulk. And meanwhile, like just a few years later, he's like a world-renowned superhero.
Not only that, but leaves her for a Ukrainian assassin.
Yeah. And like if she gets the news in whatever Supermax prison she's in, she like sees like not only is he like a world-renowned superhero who's apparently just absolved of all crimes, he also brought back half of humanity in Endgame. Like, meanwhile, she's in Supermax prison. And like I can only imagine like just during his downtime, Bruce is like, I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I cannot for the life of me remember what I forgot. Meanwhile, she's sitting in prison like, I should have just let my father handle it.
I should have just let my dad do everything.
I should have just let him kill my boyfriend.
Whatever, I don't care. Yeah.
This was not worth it.
I just imagine like at best she's like ridiculously sanctioned by the United States government and has like a handler to make sure she's not up to some weird shit.
Yeah.
Right? And she could totally be like, "Hey Tony Stark, could you help me?" But like she's not in the group, and Bruce left her a little like just long enough ago that she has no reason to pretend like she knows anyone. From that group of people.
She like calls like Stark Industries, and like the receptionist answers, and it's like, "Hey, this is Betty Ross. I'm just sorry, you're not canon anymore.
You're not canon."
They like block her number.
Yeah.
Anyway, more stuff that they set up and don't elaborate on at all. Hulk controlling his anger.
Yeah.
Like they hint at the end, like
how
like
it's
he can control like the Hulk stuff now.
You know, I think because it's interesting because I feel like that was something that Mark Ruffalo's Hulk had to learn to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You could in Endgame, like in the 5-year gap, like he reconciles the Hulk stuff.
Right.
Off screen completely.
And I feel like what this other Hulk goes through is more just like a physical reaction rather than a metaphysical phenomenon.
It's like a combination of the like antidote that they gave him and also like, I don't know, breathing.
Right. Well, he just has to keep his heart rate down. It seems like whenever he reaches 200, he just turns into the Hulk.
Yeah, but then at the end, he's like in Canada and he's like doing his breathing. You can hear his heart rate rise, and like, you know, he flashes his eyes; they're green. Like it's
also that's kind of fucked up.
What?
That's kind of like the fact that like he's doing that apparently of his own volition, knowing that he's probably going to destroy a town.
Well, no, the whole point is that he like went into the middle of the woods in Canada.
Oh.
And he's like in a little cottage like miles away from civilization. Mm-hmm. At least that's how I read it. That's what it seemed like to me.
Because he started out in Brazil.
No, he went from Harlem at the end of the movie to like British Columbia.
I know that, but at the beginning of the movie, he was in Brazil.
Yeah.
And then he becomes the Hulk because they're trying to get him. And he's like in the woods and he goes onto the road and he sees the Volkswagen Beetle or Volkswagen bus. And he's like, hey, blah, 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 blah. He's like, hey, I need to get back to the main city of blah, blah, blah. And the dude's like, what are you talking about? This is Guatemala.
Yeah.
He's like, by the way, Brazil is multiple times larger than Alaska.
Yeah.
It's a big boy country. It's a large country. Even if he's in Canada.
Oh yeah, you make a good point.
Shit up.
Yeah, the Hulk can just like jump to the closest town. You make a good point.
To put like, I think the best thing he could have done is just been like, hey Tony, you know that island that you never use? Just put me there.
Actually, it's interesting that you bring that up because in the first episode of She-Hulk, Bruce, who is at this point like fully just his like combination Bruce Hulk form, basically just himself in the Hulk body. He takes Jen, who's like the She-Hulk. After she turns into She-Hulk, he like takes her to this island to try to help her control her powers.
To fuck her, yeah.
To fuck her, who is She-Hulk, who is his cousin, by the way.
I mean, he could have been from Alabama. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. But yeah, he actually says like, yeah, I talked to Tony and he hooked me up with this island and this facility, this lab. So like, that actually did happen apparently.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
but anyway, so they set up at the end of this movie.
Yeah. I feel like the writers actually, at least in that scene, thought about it and were like, yeah, there's no real safe place to test the Hulk except for an island. Because as far as we know, he needs oxygen, and I don't see the Hulk angrily swimming to shore.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so they set up at the end of the movie, he's like learning to control like the Hulk form, and he can conceivably transform at will. But then at the start of the Avengers, which is his next appearance, he's just back to like the status quo, like on the run, trying not to get his heart rate up,
Yeah, and that's the difference I think between this movie and the way that they make that boundary of when you become Hulk. Like with Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, it was more like emotional too. Like you had to be in an emotionally angry state.
Yeah.
Right? He could be fucking with a heart rate of 200 and be fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's definitely like not as like hard line in the future appearerances. It's just like, don't get him vaguely upset.
Don't get him vaguely upset.
He's vaguely mad. He's
I like how
sort of excited, maybe. We don't know.
He's into the humiliation kink. Hurry. Get into your shelters. Yeah, I mean, I can see, like, with Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, like, needing an island to, like, test that out. Well, this Hulk that we just saw, like, as far as I'm concerned, he's just like, fuck it, I'll become Hulk again.
Yeah.
And destroy us. I don't fucking care.
Yeah, because he has, like, no resources. It's not like he can just get an island.
It's not like you can just reach out to a shrink and be like, hey, you used to date my girlfriend, right? Hey, can you help me with this thing? So I occasionally will turn giant, monstrous, and green. Yeah. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
He's just gotta do some breathing. He just has to breathe, and then and he controls his anger. So anyway, the next thing that they set up and then never, this sort of fits into the category, but Iron Man forming the Avengers. At the end of the movie, Ross is like at a bar and he's like, oh, the Hulk stuff happened. And Tony Stark shows up and he's like, hey, guess what? We're putting together a team. But then, so this was like the same year Iron Man came out. So they were just kind of trying to throw shit at the wall. They were piecing things together. So they didn't really have Iron Man 2 written. And in Iron Man 2, that's like when they elaborate on the Avengers stuff. And, you know, Nick Fury is like, hey, we're putting together a group of special people. I guess at that point to put together a task force to like to do Venezuelan coups, you can only assume because they don't know about aliens yet. But anyway, so they do all that stuff where, and Tony's like, I don't want to join your super secret boy band. And like, he's not qualified and everything. But in this, it's Tony Stark putting together the Avengers.
Yeah.
So that's not something that they didn't elaborate on, but something that they changed.
For sure.
And that belongs on the list.
That's one thing I liked about the strategy of like Marvel and making the cinematic universe. It was quite literally like throw shit at the wall, see what sticks, and whatever does stick and whatever seems to get attention from people, and people are like, that's a good idea, roll with it.
Yeah, I do respect that.
I really respect it's like, because a modern cinema, at least, especially if you're going to make like a multi-movie deal, it's all drawn out already.
Right.
It's all already made. You just need to get the people to do it. And that's what I liked about how they did this, especially the fact that like Robert Downey Jr. in 2008 was kind of a washed up actor.
Yeah, he was like
Iron Man.
Serious gamble for them.
Yeah, and well, that's why they like. I'm not sure if Iron Man was like a low budget film.
It wasn't. It was definitely like, it was
medium.
I don't know if I'd call it low. Like, I don't know what it was, but it was definitely not like a high budget affair. It was just kind of, I think it was like Marvel Studios like just putting the rest of their money towards this.
Right.
It was kind of a Hail Mary.
Exactly. And it worked
like
really well.
The fate of the studio, I cannot stress this enough, depended on this movie succeeding. Because like if Iron Man didn't take off, like there would be no Marvel Studios. They would be bankrupt. They like sold all of their rights like to different characters. Like they sold the X-Men rights, Spider-Man rights, Fantastic Four rights, and they like worked with what they had left. And like they used the money from that to fund like the early stuff.
Yeah.
And that was like really what would make or break their future.
Exactly. And it's weird because like nowadays, at least in the 2020s, like in terms of superheroes, Marvel's the big boy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, DC is trying to catch up to Marvel, which I don't think many people would have predicted.
Well, yeah, no, it was flipped in 2008.
Oh yeah.
DC was like Superman, Batman. They were those were the superheroes that you wanted. And I love how it's just like, I love how the cumulative creative exhaustion of the Marvel Studios, people like made something so fucking cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and now like every other studio, not just Warner Brothers, not just like the DC movies, they're all trying to replicate that like formula. Like Universal tried to do like their like dark universe. They tried to do like the monster movies, like their MCU, like the monster cinematic universe, and it just tanked because the Mummy with Tom Cruise wasn't good.
Yeah, well, I mean, the second you make it like a we can do that too sort of thing, people just get turned off. They're like, no.
Yeah, trying to like setting out to make a cinematic universe is like calling yourself a comedian, where like the like the label carries implications that then like you can't organically produce it. Like if you start something by being like, yeah, I'm a comedian, I'm like really funny, then like every joke that you tell feels kind of like you're trying to be like, see, look, I'm funny, I promise. And with the
like
cinematic with the cinematic universe, it's like, yeah, we're gonna make the monster cinematic universe. And then like they make The Mummy with Tom Cruise, and it's like, not only is this a bad movie, but it's also like just it's pathetic. That you thought that
It's-
this
yeah.
would spawn your own MCU?
Well, also, I think the difference between other studios and Marvel is that, like, Marvel, or let me say this, other studios make things that they think their audiences should like.
Yeah.
Marvel made something they knew their audience would like because they released a movie and their audience was like, I like this, I don't like this.
Yeah,
Right?
and it was made by people that were passionate about the material. Like
It was
Kevin
made by
Feige.
fans.
Kevin Feige is
Right?
not only a movie producer, but he's just a fan of comic books.
Yeah. And the cool thing too is like the community surrounding Marvel comic books, they're a very boisterous crowd. They'll tell you what they like and what they don't like.
Yeah.
Right? And so it made this great amalgamation of like production and then input and then reworks and then this constant cycle of like, cool, and this next movie we'll try to right this wrong that people didn't like, while also putting something in that they were asking for.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of discourse around the MCU now about how it's become kind of like corporate and like formulaic. But I will say the early MCU was really just creatively driven. At least I think. Like they were doing like more varied stuff. Like the MCU wasn't just comic book movies. It was like, here's like a monster, like, you know, on the run thriller kind of movie with the Hulk.
Yeah.
Here's you know, kind of like a sci-fi kind of concept with Iron Man. And here's a war movie with Captain America.
Exactly.
And you know, there's still superhero movies, but they felt like genre pieces, you know?
For
Like,
sure.
it felt like,
well, I remember when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, and back then I thought it was the dumbest fucking shit.
yeah.
No, really. Like I would have been the kind of person who wouldn't be caught dead with like a Guardians of the Galaxy like comic. Like I would be like, nah, I don't. Why? It's the name itself is stupid, right? And then I saw the movie, and I was like, this is not only fucking hilarious, but it's a really good movie. It's
Yeah.
a decent, like, they got a good cast. The script is awesome. And now it's the sort of thing, like, if they made a new Guardians of the Galaxy movie, you bet your ass I'm going to go see it.
Oh, yeah.
Just because I'm interested to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, and James Gunn just makes good art.
Right. And I want to make one other point about, like, Marvel before you take me off my soapbox. I like the fact that because they have fans working on the project, right? They have fans that are like for instance, might be working on like an Iron Man movie, but they're fans of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Right. So when they see a little error in the script or a little error in the storyline, that it's like, this doesn't really make sense for Guardians of the Galaxy. They go, great point. Why? Why doesn't it make sense? Let's fix it.
Yeah.
Because the fans will catch that.
Yeah, and the last thing that I want to say about that is the girl that plays I dropped my pen. The girl that plays Miss Marvel in the Miss Marvel Disney Plus series is like a huge like Marvel nerd.
Yeah.
She was like
even the
on
actors.
set while they were filming Miss Marvel. She was like watching WandaVision on her phone because it was
adorable.
like coming
That's kind
out
of-
around that time.
That's really adorable, actually.
Yeah, and when Kevin Feige like came out and he was like, yeah, the MCU is Universe 616, she was like, she apparently she like texted Kevin Feige like, what the fuck, dude, that doesn't make sense. The Marvel like mainline continuity is Universe
it.
616. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is universe like whatever, like 2999999 whatever.
She corrected the fucking producer.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that so much.
I love it. It's great. Like
love it.
I just like it when people that are making like whatever piece of art, whatever you're making, I like it when it's being made by people that are passionate about it.
Well, also, it keeps the continuity in check because when you have fans of such a variety of comic books, making sure that the script is right for one movie, it makes everything canonical.
Yeah.
Right? Because the thing, like, I don't think, even if The Mummy would have made, like, a lot of money and it would have been a multi-deal thing, I doubt they would have had, like, a good, like, story, like, a good canon that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Highly doubt it because the fan base just isn't there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a difficult thing to make like a whole cinematic universe around like the Mummy and like Wolfman, you know?
Like, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think it's a neat idea.
It's not something that I would invest $1 billion in.
It's just not something I would have a Scientologist be the front row guy for.
Like that idea it's not a bad idea, but it's not going to be a mainstream Hollywood thing. You know what I mean? Like it's a
like Tom
good,
Cruise isn't cool
smaller
anymore.
budget project to make these interconnected monster movies, but don't expect it to be like the new Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I mean, yeah, especially when it's really hard, especially to make a movie franchise when you're comparing it to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, and it's not even a thing that you need to put that much money into. Like it's just
right.
Like monster movies like can be made cheaply, and they have been historically.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to get through the rest of this. So a couple more things that are set up and never elaborated on is just the room full of Hulk blood. Like it doesn't. Yeah,
where did that all come from? Was he mailing it?
So he said, it was mentioned in like one line. Bruce sent in a blood sample, and the guy was like, "Yeah, I couldn't do much with that, so I had to concentrate it and make more." So I guess it was all like synthesized from the one sample. But anyway,
why is it all blood then? What is he concentrating? Blood is blood.
I do not know. But anyway, so there's like a
need
room
his
full
bone
of
marrow.
Hulk blood, and we don't see it get destroyed, but we don't see anything come of it. And related to that, the guy that was the Mr. Blue, he like got a cut on his head and some Hulk blood dripped on it.
Yeah, and
you
he
see him like
bubbling.
bubble up. So that was to set up a Marvel villain called the Leader, I believe.
Okay, I thought it was like Megamind or something. I wasn't sure what it was
set up
gonna be.
Megamind.
Yeah, the blue guy from the.
And then they never made a
like...
Megamind movie. But anyway, so they set this up, and it's another thing that just is never brought up. It never appears again. It's never even mentioned in a passing line. Exactly.
Yeah. Which is sad, but again, I think it's just one of those things that you have to cut when, like, I feel like they made Iron Man, then they went with Thor, and then they were on a track. They started their track with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
And that's just something that were like, there's no one's like, what happened to this dude?
Yeah.
Right? No one's like, where'd all that blood come from?
Yeah.
Like,
now, to be clear, this stuff, like the Leader being set up, it's not something that like the fans are like clamoring to see again. It's more the kind of thing that you see in like a listicle about like, you know, top 10 MCU forgotten storylines, you know? Mm-hmm. But still, like, it's worth mentioning. I mean, this is kind of that. This segment is just a listicle, top 10 things, top 10 forgotten storylines, you know?
Well, I do think now Marvel has the capital to definitely go back and, like, even make spin-off series just based off of, like, loose threads.
Yeah. I mean, they did kind of do that with She-Hulk. So
yeah, but then everyone fucking hated it.
Well, they didn't hate the part of the show that was a callback to this, but yeah, incels online were like, She-Hulk twerking with Megan Thee Stallion? This is woke and bad and terrible.
You know, maybe I should watch She-Hulk instead of fucking shitting on it based on what I've heard on the internet. Maybe that would be a smart idea.
I would say it's better than some of the other Disney Plus shows.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair enough. I think Disney's gonna wake up to a rude awakening, the same one that like Netflix woke up to about making movies. Yeah, it's like I said earlier, we're just making too many things. Disney is making too many like Marvel shows, and everything that they make in the MCU is just setting up the next thing in the MCU. But anyway, so part of She-Hulk is, you know how She-Hulk is like a lawyer, right? Mm-hmm. No, I didn't.
Anyway, She-Hulk is a lawyer.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so she gets hired as the head of the superhuman law division at this law firm, which
that's really awesome.
That's a cool concept for a show.
That makes sense. Yeah, actually.
I would love to see a show about like, you know, Daredevil, who's also a lawyer, and you know, She-Hulk. If it was just like a series, like an episodic thing where they're just every episode is another superhuman court case. But anyway,
but I would love it to have I would like it to have like the feel of Loki too. I think that would be like interesting, like that Office vibe.
Oh yeah. But so anyway, part of the show is She-Hulk gets assigned to be the lawyer for Emil Blonsky, the Abomination, who is at this point put up on parole. He's eligible for parole.
Yeah.
So she's like his lawyer. And the episode that just came out.
I love that so much. Oh, wow.
What?
I love that so much.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch this now. I think that's really interesting.
It's a fun concept. Wong also shows up in the show, and she has to like explain parts of the legal system to him.
I really love that.
She's like, you can't just break someone out of a supermax prison to go to an underground fighting ring, and he's like, I don't see the problem. I put him back.
Why?
I put him back.
Why?
Like, what's the problem? But anyway, so yeah, they did touch on Emil Blonsky again, and it's nice to see Abomination again.
That's really
He's a completely different guy now.
Yeah.
He's like full like he's kind of like a cult leader. He has like 9 wives. he has a ranch for like ex supervillains to like work through their issues.
Wait, does he live in Utah?
No. He has some
Mormon?
ranch in some rural area. I don't think it's Utah. He's not a Mormon. He's something very similar though. But anyway, so I would say best movie ever, Incredible Hulk 2008.
You know, I went into this with like low expectations, and it did well. I think it was good. I think it was a good movie.
Yeah, I expected worst movie ever, but what we got was best movie ever, I would say. Definitely.
Yeah, no, it was good.
I would say it was more enjoyable than The Godfather, at least.
I
still haven't seen The Godfather.
I haven't seen it either.
But I know that it's worse than Twilight, and there's no way that this is also worse than Twilight.
You know, I watched a really sad movie called The Pianist, which is about the Holocaust.
The Penis.
This movie was more enjoyable than the Pianist.
That does sound like it would be less enjoyable. Not a worse movie, just less enjoyable. I
feel like you come out of the theater after watching The Pianist, and they don't ask you if you enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
They just kind of go like, "How are you?
Yeah, are you okay?
You good?"
Like that was a lot, wasn't it?
That was a lot. Do you need a hug?
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah.
But in terms of like making you happy, this movie does that more.
It was good. I was like, wow. All right.
Look, out of all of the movies, I would say, yeah. I mean, this did come out in 2008.
And that's where I give it a lot of leeway. Because there are some things where I'd be like, yeah, like he's just going to log onto this computer and the military's not going to track him. But like, it's 2008. The iPhone hadn't come out yet. Like, did you see the monitors? Like, I remember when the dude was like trying to set up all the things, and like the monitors they're from 1990s. Like, right. They were like old monitors. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess the turnover for monitors back then wasn't that big, because you'd get one monitor and all you would be changing is your tower.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Right? And you would just connect them. And now we have such technological turnover with everything.
So yeah, that's all to say. Yeah, for sure. So anyway, next movie.
Fuck you too, Alex. Okay, that's how it's gonna be. All right.
So anyway, next episode is going to be the first episode of October. So if we're officially getting into Halloween, and it is my turn to pick a movie. So I'm thinking next week we can watch. Are you familiar with Scary Godmother?
Oh, dude, they played that on repeat.
Yeah,
they played that on repeat on Cartoon Network.
I love Scary Godmother.
Oh, dude, the animation makes me go, "Wow, we've come a long way."
Yeah.
Wow, I could do that.
Now, listener at home, I don't think Scary Godmother is like officially on anything. However, you can watch it on. It's not that it's on YouTube technically, but you can watch the whole thing on YouTube. Both of them, part 1 and 2. They made like 2. They're like 45-minute specials. So I was thinking we could watch both of those and then talk about them next week.
I feel like yes, but also I feel like Fairy Godmother is It's a Good Life of like the 2020s.
Yeah.
Or It's a Wonderful Life, sorry.
How so?
Remember that the Christmas movie? So like Scary Godmother objectively is a great movie. Not really, but they played it on repeat when I was a kid.
It's great.
Like They played, yeah, because
Like,
I
is it
remember when I was
Citizen
a
Kane?
kid.
No. But does it make you feel good? Absolutely.
Dude, yeah, no. Here's how I would know it was Halloween season. When I saw Scary Godmother on the TV. That's how I knew it was the season.
Yeah.
You know?
No, you know what
I
it
mean?
feels
That's when
like to
Halloween
me?
started.
What it feels like to me is like the feeling that I get watching Scary Godmother is the feeling that you get like seeing an old friend.
Yeah. Aw.
It just is nice.
Aw.
You know what I mean?
Or that feeling when you open like a crate of like old decorations for a certain season from when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, oh, I remember this. That and that one Christmas movie about them suing Santa or something.
Oh, Grandma got run over by a reindeer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one as much, but yeah, that's another one.
On repeat.
We
bro,
should
on
watch that
Cartoon-
when we get to December.
when the season comes, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'm
dude.
thinking. No, let me know if you have any input for Halloween movies, but I'm thinking
Yeah.
for for the first week of October, Scary Godmother. Then the next 3 weeks, we could watch the Fear Street trilogy.
Okay.
It's a trilogy on Netflix. I don't know if I've talked to you about it before, but it's like technically it's 3 movies, but it's like all one like story from like the start of the first
Okay.
movie. Like they all connect, but
Yeah.
they're standalone, but they also like have an overarching narrative, and they're
Yeah.
they're really good. And I think they're definitely worth taking the time to watch and talk about. But
For sure.
if you have any strong opinions on what we should watch for Halloween, I'm open to them.
Yeah, let's watch Schindler's List.
I mean, the events are horrific, but I wouldn't call it horror.
I like how you phrased that. That's actually very accurate and a very astute observation,
Yeah.
I'd say.
No, that is,
Yeah.
I would say that I agree with myself. So next week, Scary Godmother, it's not officially on anything, but you can watch it on YouTube. Someone put it up on YouTube.
Oh, I love that. It's like just someone's just like, here.
Yeah, and it's like full quality and everything.
Yeah.
Now that
And like,
said,
I love how Cartoon Network is like, we're not going to sue you.
yeah, I don't.
This is
I
yours
think they
now.
forgot that they own the rights. I think they just forgot about it. Or maybe the rights lapsed and it went back to a studio that doesn't exist anymore. Like,
and
I
now
don't
it's
know.
just public.
It might be public
know.
domain. Who knows?
Dude, this is a cultural icon of a movie.
Yeah. Now that being said, I do have it on Plex. I bought the DVD. I bought the first one and the second one, so I do
They made
have the
2 of them?
DVDs.
They made 2 of them?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like 2 like 45-ish minute specials. The first one is like about Hannah like meeting the creatures, the monsters.
Oh, I remember that.
And then the second one is about
Yeah, and then
Jimmy.
she comes back and yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, and their little beady eyes.
Yeah.
dude.
So I do have
Ooh.
I do have both of them on Plex. I ripped the DVDs to Jonathan, my
Dude, you
Plex server.
sent me back to 2005, man.
So the plebeians at
Holy
home,
shit.
they get the YouTube version, but you and I, we get the special DVD version.
the good shit.
Yeah, the good shit.
Right into the
Yeah.
veins.
It's actually not expensive to get the DVD. Like good, like new quality. It's like a few
Yeah.
dollars.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I do. I like that also.
Mm,
So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about next
that's
week.
what we're watching.
Yeah, happy
Awesome.
Halloween, everyone.
Happy Swalloween.
All right.
For those who are getting a
And
blow
so
job.
for recommendations of the week, I have a large number of things written down compared to what I normally have. So I'll get to like a couple of them. First of all, I want to mention I've forgotten for like the past few weeks. The Discord server is it's technically public now. I just keep forgetting to talk about it and like plug the link and everything. But yeah, if you want to join our Discord server, I got lots of channels for lots of different conversations that you can have. I got, the based department. We got a memes channel, an interesting things channel. A gaming journalists are trash channel, life hacks channel, where I send exclusively parody life hack videos. Yeah, it's great. There's this account on TikTok that uploads videos that are like, if you're having trouble unscrewing this nail, all you have to do is just bend it with a hammer and then unscrew it and then do whatever, then hit it with your drill.
I want them to say, if you're having issues with your dishwasher, get a different wife.
It's horrible. That's
terrible.
terrible. But anyway, Discord link will be in the episode.
I did not mean that to
description.
any prospective employers.
Yeah, and you can harass Gavin there if you want. I
mean, that's the one place you can actually harass me. Otherwise, I don't really.
Because he will not see it because he does not check Discord as much as
do
I would
not.
like him to.
Yeah. To Alex's dismay and disappointment.
Much to my
funny enough.
chagrin.
Yes. And yeah, that's the only place that anyone could probably reach me.
Yeah. Now
Unless
I
you know my
will
phone
say
number.
public servers are supposed to have like a set of rules, like like per server, like, hey, this is the guidelines for this server. I'm too lazy to set up something like that. I haven't gotten to it yet. So this is the first and only message so far in the rules channel. It just says, until further notice, the rules are, I am supreme dictator of this server. Rules are, I will ban you if the vibes are off until further notice. So just know what you're getting yourself into. I have no specific rules,
banned.
but it's kind of like, hey, if you're being a little shit, like if you're being a stinker, I'll ban you.
So I'm not going to be here for very long, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no being a little stinker, no being Gavin.
Mm-hmm. Especially the second one.
Yeah. Anyway, so I have a video recommendation. So I talked a few months ago about the alt-right Playbook, which is a series of videos on YouTube from Innuendo Studios. And I think I mentioned when I talked about it the last time, they haven't uploaded in like a year, and they haven't made an alt-right Playbook video in like 2 years.
Yeah.
They actually just put one out a few days ago. Yeah, it's called the Alt-Right Playbook, The Cost of Doing Business. And the whole series is basically like an analysis of sort of political like discourse. Like this particular video talks mostly about like how like far right people will weaponize minorities against liberals, like white affluent liberals. Like it's the analysis is basically like, yeah, they don't so much hate like Mexican people, like immigrants, like specifically, like a lot of it is they just hate liberals and they weaponize like immigrants against them. They're like, hey, if you protest my whatever thing, I'm gonna dox all of these innocent people.
Yeah.
And it's a good video. It's very well thought out and everything. The whole series is great. It's a good analysis of political discourse.
Yeah.
And I didn't write this down, but in that same vein, talking about like just good political analysis, I talked to Gavin about this, but the Crystal Kyle and Friends podcast run by Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball, they just put out an episode last week interviewing Vivek Chibber, who's a sociologist and author. I think he's a sociology professor. I don't remember what like university, but he basically lays out like the differences between different forms of socialism. Like, there's planned economies, then there's market socialism, and then there's like just full on free market stuff. And he lays out market socialism, which is basically like what we've been talking about. Like market socialism is like, as an ideology, it's basically like what I've been saying. Some things are fine to leave up to the free market, whatever, like entertainment, like we don't need to nationalize video games.
Sure, just make duct tape. I don't care.
Yeah, like, okay, gushers, fine. That can be left up to the free market.
Dude, I love gushers.
But things like, transportation, education, healthcare, stuff like that, some things should be nationalized. And that's basically the core of market socialism. The government can, own and operate, what it needs to, and what it doesn't need to is left up to the free market. And there are issues with that. There are advantages, disadvantages, but it's all laid out in that interview. It's a good interview. He does say some things that I don't quite agree with about like social issues, He's one of those guys that's like, no, oppression is all like class based, and it's like, no, a lot of it has to do with race, but he's of the mindset that like, no, issues that black people face, it's not just systemic racism, I mean, not to say he doesn't believe in systemic racism, but like he's one of those people that's like, nah, it's mostly class stuff. Just focus on class.
Yeah.
It's like we can focus on more than one thing.
I have a recommendation, actually.
Oh, you do?
I actually have a recommendation this time. I watched a video by a YouTube channel called Real Life Lore.
Oh, I know that channel.
It's really good. I'm not sure if like the person who runs it is he, she, them, or
just say them.
How them. But they recently put out a video about 4 weeks ago called "How Geography Made the U.S. Ridiculously OP."
Yeah.
And I found it very interesting. Just because he goes over the role that like our geography plays and how we industrialize so quickly.
Yeah.
And how like the Mississippi plays like a massive fucking role in that. He doesn't really talk about things like slavery and I guess colonialism.
Yeah.
Kind of because it wasn't really in the purview of the video. It wasn't really in the scope of what he was trying to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just fair to point that out though.
Mm-hmm.
But he just goes over like all of that fun jazz. And yeah, I just found it incredibly interesting. And like, I'm not a person who thinks that America is inherently exceptional, but I would say our geography and the way we have used it to our advantage to make sure that we can make things is indeed exceptional.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
I think that's just like the way we've engineered it and all the logistics. And, you know, again, he doesn't, and I pointed out about slavery, but he doesn't like talk about how we also like pushed a bunch of Native Americans off their land.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot, but again, that wasn't really in the scope of the video. I just wanted to point out that happened and that's not good. But,
right.
You know, I found it so eye-opening. And one of the things that can be like, you know, America isn't just by virtue exceptional. We have exceptional things about what we have.
Yeah.
That make us a player on the world stage.
Yeah, we have a great spawn point, basically.
We really do.
Yeah.
We really fucking do. I guess the whole entire east coast of the United States is like 3 times larger than the entire coast of Africa.
Yeah.
Just in surface area, like in terms of like how many little islands and then all the little coastal bays and ports. It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Talking about American exceptionalism, like claiming that America is just has better merits or whatever. It's like being born on a pile of gold and being like, yeah, I worked for this.
No, we definitely like have things that make America exceptional, right? You know, just our industrial might, the fact that we have like our currency is the reserve currency of the world.
Yeah.
Because it's so fucking stable. It's ridiculously fucking stable.
No, you got to trade it all for Bitcoin. No.
Yeah,
buy Dogecoin and then lose it all because it's a pump and dump.
But, you know, I found that video very enlightening and also like a reason for me to be like, okay, no, there are some things that America is actually very good and exceptional at.
Yeah.
Just in any reasonable measurement, we are better at doing some things than others.
Yeah, so it's from Real Life Lore. What's the video called?
Mm-hmm. Why America's geography makes it incredibly OP.
All right.
Sorry, that wasn't verbatim. The verbatim is how geography made the U.S. ridiculously OP.
All right. And then I have a couple. The last 2 things that I'll mention are a couple of more lighthearted, like video game related stuff. So the first channel that I want to plug, Flandrew, does sort of like not just video game reviews, but comparisons. So he went through the Harry Potter series and he compared every version of the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone video game. You compared like the PS1 version, the PC version, like the Game Boy Color version,
the DS version.
No, there wouldn't have even been a DS version until like the 5th game.
Wow.
Yeah. So he did that for the entire Harry Potter series from the first one all the way up to the last 2. And it's good if you're just into like not only video games but also like just like how they're made and like, you know, how games play on different like platforms and like, you know, the levels of like hardware horsepower. Like that's a good series. Sure. It's fun to watch or even like have on in the background like while you're doing dishes or something.
Of course, yeah.
And so he went through the Harry Potter series and now he's doing the Lord of the Rings games. And I thought that might interest you, Gavin.
Definitely something that I may or may not look into.
All right. Yeah, and the channel's name is Flandrew, like Andrew with an FL in front of it. And then Scott Stash. If you know Scott the Woz, you already know like his whole deal. But his main channel is he does like it's doing a disservice to call it video game reviews. It's like a really well produced, like good, like show that he does. He talks about
comprehensive.
Generally, he talks about video games. Is I guess the most concise way I can explain it. But he also has a second channel called Scott Stash, where it's less like scripted, and he just will talk for an hour about, you know, the 3DS eShop. You know, he just browses the eShop, and he always has like something to say about whatever he finds. He has like some story from when he was a kid. He like will just do a video talk. Like the first one that I saw was he was talking about the Circle Pad Pro for the 3DS. And I think it was like a 20-minute video just explaining like what it was and why it existed. Because when the 3DS came out, it had like the D-pad, the 4 like face buttons, and a circle pad, which was basically like an analog stick. And everyone was like, no, it needs a second one. We need 2 analog sticks. Like we need camera controls. And then Nintendo was like, okay, fine. Here you go. And then no one bought it. Because nothing supported it, because the 3DS only had the one circle pad.
Yeah.
So they put out an attachment with a second circle pad, and some games supported it, and they were like, here, now shut up. And no one bought it. Because it was useless. It was kind of like Nintendo's way of saying, I told you so.
For sure. Yeah. And, you know, I bet they did something logistically to be like, just put out like 300 because only 300 people will buy this.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how rare it is now, but like it was just in so little demand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Anyway, so I'll try to remember to put links to all this stuff in the description. It's definitely good stuff. Check it out. And with that, I think that's the show. All right.
I think that's the show.
Thank you for listening to another episode of What If You Just Say. If you liked it, then like it. If you subscribe, then subscribe. We're publishing the show on YouTube again, so if you're listening there, leave a comment. If you liked it, then tell us. And if you didn't, keep it to yourself, okay?
I mean, constructive criticism is good, but fuck off.
Yeah. No, if you're going to tell us, it would be funnier if you...
That's what I think about you.
Yeah. Yeah, if you comment something like, it would be funnier if you did this. No, it wouldn't. It just wouldn't. I'm sorry, but you're wrong. Share the show with a friend.
As a professional comedian.
Yeah. Share the show with a friend. Tweet our clips. Tweet our episodes. Our clips channel is in the description. I'm trying to upload more there. They're just really time-consuming to put together, especially with how long we talk about things. Leave us a review on Podchaser. That's like an IMDb type site for podcasts. Leave us a review on Spotify or Apple. Basically, wherever you can.
Yeah, man. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Follow me on social media. Don't follow Gavin anywhere.
Follow me.
It's quite unwise to do that.
Yes.
You know
what happened? The last guy who followed me on whatever? Exactly.
Yeah, you don't know. You have no idea.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
He's in Guatemala now.
Yeah. Anyway, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Turn on notifications. Turn on automatic downloads. And let's get the hell out of Dodge.
Fucking let's leave.
Let's go to bed together in our 2 twin beds with our little white covers and
Bert and Ernie are gay.
Yeah. with our little baby blue pajamas with the little sheep on them.
With the little KKK hat.
Yeah. And we turn out our mutual lamp. We grab the string together. We give it a little tug. And we say good night.
All right. That's enough of that.